Hi and welcome back to 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗀𝗀. Today, guys, I thought I'd do some brief technical analysis on Ethereum. So obviously Ethereum does have a bit of an impact on the market. A lot of coins tend to follow the same kind of direction in the same way that Bitcoin does as well. So thought I'd give everyone a bit of a brief update on what Ethereum is doing. Whether you're invested in Ethereum or not, you might want to be, keeping up to date with what is going on with the price action of ETH. So as we get into this, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, why not subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and you are going to be kept up to date with everything that we do here at 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗀𝗀. Fantastic. Right, let's talk about what's going on here with Ethereum. So obviously we had this small impulsive move up here. This was invalidated, so I can now actually remove that off the chart there and clean that up a little bit. But basically that's just a very, very simple ABC move on our hourly chart just inside here, right? There's nothing special about that. And we also had this pullback. Now when we actually take a look at this, we can make this a lot more simpler by removing some of this noise and actually articulating this as A, B, and C. Cool. And then obviously we have the ABC up, and my expectations are an ABC down, right? So obviously all of this is corrective moves, right? So this actually gives us encouragement. There's no trend being set here, other than the fact there might be a larger scale move, and I'm going to go through that in a bit as well. So on the micro scale, on this hourly chart, we want to kind of take a look at this, right? Because we were obviously tracking down, and again, we've had a bounce to the upside in the same way that Bitcoin has. A little bit of volatility, a little bit of misunderstanding, I guess, of what's going on with interest rates, etc. in the US. And as a result of that, a bit of an undecided market. Sellers kind of ultimately got power here. And if you can really zoom in on this, and you can see how the traders have reacted, because right inside here, you can see all of these wicks with basically is showing a very undecided market, right? We've got a lot of selling activity at the top here. We've got a lot of buying activity at the bottom, and you've got all of these kind of bodies of these candles all closing in a very, very tight range, okay? And basically once you lose the support, you obviously have fallen it down. Now from here, we can see that basically sellers got control. That was the deciding move. We've bounced up. We haven't gone higher than the origin position here. So the expectation is still to pull back down even lower. Now, obviously, we have the stochastic RSI. This is up in the overbought area like it was previously, right? So overbought here, it dropped down just to being a little bit oversold and bounced up into overbought again. The expectation is to drop back down. I do expect this to be very choppy. I'm not expecting any kind of definitive move in terms of trend-based kind of impulsive waves. But what we actually have here is essentially a very corrective, overlapping set of waves that are going to eventually actually end up down here at about $2,433 in my opinion. And that's an approximate area. Technically, it's kind of met its minimum requirement by being just lower than the A wave, but typically and most probably you end up with a 1-to-1 ratio. Whatever the length of A wave is tends to be the same length as our C wave. It can of course fall short, it can sometimes go longer, but for the most part the most common ratio is 1-to-1, and therefore $2,433 is highly probable here when we start thinking about it. Now from this point of view, we can obviously acknowledge that we have A, B, and this will probably come down into a C wave, and I'll measure this to give us an idea on where that's currently landing. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of overlap here. That will currently take us to about 2,500, so that'll basically put us on the 618. Okay, so that'll put us right about here. Okay, and if that gets overextended, then obviously that might lead us down into these lower ranges, but I don't think that's going to overextend. I think it's probably going to get another bounce from here. We'll probably end up with another kind of really small ABC move up, and then we'll probably get that final move taking us down into that low range. Like I said, it's going to be very, very choppy, and I think this is going to be a triple corrective move. So WXY XZ, for example, something to those effects, right? So we are looking at some very, very overlappy corrective moves, but on the larger scale it will just look like an ABC correction. Okay, so for Ethereum I do see some downside. That stochastic RSI is overbought. Now when we come up into the 4-hourly, we obviously have a stochastic RSI that's not as bad, right? It's right down here in the oversold area. So my anticipation is that we stay down here on the 4-hourly whilst we have the corrections on the smaller time frame, and the 8-hourly also corrects down. So the momentum behind our 4-hourly price is very much going to be downward action. We are looking for corrective moves to lower that stochastic RSI on this 8-hourly and the hourly chart. Now the daily, on the other hand, actually isn't in too much of a bad position. It's moved up a little bit, so I do expect as we correct down a little bit lower, that actually comes back down into the oversold area. And then on here, if we actually zoom on out a little bit, and we bring this up, we can obviously acknowledge that what we've got going on here is actually a pretty powerful set of moves, right? So depending on how you want to look at it, we've got a big move up, we've got a corrective move down, we could be looking at another big move up, right? And this on a daily scale might be articulated as, you know, a giant A wave here, a B wave here, and then a C wave going higher. Alternatively, we could also look at it in a slightly smaller scale and say, here is our A wave up. This is basically built up of an ABC. This is then coming down. Potentially we come down to that $2,400 range, as I said, and then that basically becomes ABC, and then we move up again into an additional ABC up. Alternatively, we could look at it as if this is the move down. So if we're bearish right now, you might want to think of it like this, and you come back down into these lower ranges, maybe go down into a lower low. I think there's a lower probability of that, however, because we have this move up here, right? So the larger the scale becomes, the less and less bearish the scenario actually appears. The more micro you look, the more bearish it tends to look as well. Okay, so for Ethereum, it's actually looking pretty good. The more zoomed out you become, right? So on this daily chart, it's actually looking like we are going to be pushing to the upside rather than the downside over a period of time. So over the next kind of few weeks into months, we are looking upwards. And the same thing is said when we jump out into our weekly view, heavily oversold on that stochastic RSI, and I speak about this all the time, but oversold here, oversold here, oversold here, and there's a little bit oversold there, oversold here, right? Every time that we've been in this zone, I can mark it up on the chart here as well for you guys, so you get an idea as to what that actually looks like. Let me just bring this down a tad, so you can see. Okay, every time Ethereum has been this oversold, we've seen significant pushes to the upside, right? So this actually gives us confidence in thinking that we are, you know, in a really oversold area right now. We're going to be pushing on up, right? So as I said, when you zoom out, it's not bearish in the slightest. This is an opportunity, in my opinion. But ultimately, we do expect volatility on the smaller timeframes, right? As I said, the smaller you look, the worse the outlook might seem. Ultimately, it feels like you're in a really bearish scenario. It feels like you're in a trend to the downside, but actually, there's no trend here. This is a bunch of corrective moves, you know, and actually, it's looking good when you start zooming on out, and this is actually value add right now. So for Ethereum, it's looking okay. I am expecting some kind of volatility on the smaller timeframes, but the larger timeframes over the next few months, we should be thinking about new all-time highs, in my opinion. Guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you are going to be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done and out of the way, hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.